I've owned this property now for the better part of 2 years, and I've spent a lot of that time wondering if this was a great big mistake, because it's kind of hard to justify spending any amount of money on something that has been so neglected. But after spending the past month working out here, getting to turn around and see this beautiful view, I can confidently say this was the right decision. Jokingly, we've referred to this property as the riverfront garbage dump, but it's time we officially retire that name. By the end of this week's episode, we should be able to turn around and see a miniature masterpiece in the making. But it's not going to happen without at least a little bit of professional help.
My wife, her daughter, Riley Augustine, had a great friend, always talked about Dustin Porter, right? I'd see it from time to time kind of thing, but we never really had an opportunity to really kind of blend ourselves much. But I really felt like I grew to know you through your YouTube experiences. You brought forth, hey, I have this project, this is what I'm going to be trying to do. Wife and I talked about it. We're like, hey, this is an opportunity for us to help Dustin get himself a house. That's where we felt on our end, hey, you know, this is an opportunity to help a guy out who is doing really good things, sharing beautiful things, hometown guy. It just really struck home for us that, hey, you know, a home is where you rest your head. Yes, it can be on the road, but a real home base is you can come home, you know, life is different. I know that from experience, from my past history of being on the road. When you're home, it's night and day difference. I run a general contracting company here in town where we do big and small projects, and you know, from building a house to building a deck to building somebody's dream. You know, that can take shape in just so many different ways. Foundation, that's where the rubber meets the road, for lack of a better word. If you don't have a strong foundation, everything else will suffer. We had to deal with some structural beams that were rotten. In its design, it is kind of unconventional, where it's just essentially it's just on pads, right? Your conventional home is generally on a foundation, right? That's all cement perimeter, you know, all the way to frost level. But based on your smaller size, essentially a cabin at the end of the day, that design of build is fine, but fur is not meant to sit in watery situations, right? And we found that head on, where it was completely rotten underneath. But nothing that, you know, some jacks, some wood, and a little bit of ingenuity and a little bit of spirit at it can't overcome. Lucky enough, at the time, the building was empty. Thank you on your end for emptying out the building. That was quite the scene, looking back at that. But to be able to lift the building with general ease, replace, you know, those foundational components and set the building back down on it, gives confidence that moving forward, you know, this is nothing you're going to have to deal with, hopefully ever. What I'm starting with the customer is, what's their vision? What are they looking for? Because that helps shape my direction to what this job is going to happen. You know, are they looking for just some general improvements? Is it a major reno? Is it a complete rebuild? Well, you were pushing the border on some of those. But there was potential there, right? So if there's a little bit of a spark of potential there, generally most things can be overcome.
I'm seeing you operate. I'm seeing you seeing me too. And I like all the ways you shake, and I can relate to the ways you move. So come on into my habitat, or we can meet up anywhere you choose. Anytime we get into I'll be back to connect to you.
If you got good bones, if you got generally a realistic budget, you can pretty much achieve actually needs, not always what the wants are. The wants can sometimes exceed the budget.
Oh, for sure.
That's the general goal, is to get you in a position so you can finish what you need to do going into wintertime. Right now we are into November. You know, if we would have taken our time more, we would have been into the snow. And to do outside work in the wintertime, it's a big challenge. But you know, we still got some nice beautiful days left of the year here. If we could take advantage of that, knock off some projects for yourself, awesome. Very unconventional kind of build size, right? It's very tall, but small. Right there was another challenge because now all of a sudden we're working up at heights. So we set up scaffolding around both sides of the building. We can remove the old panels off, which exposed just metal roofing on top of wood strapping. Yeah, it's good for strapping, but there was no underlayment. So a problem with these kind of roofs is they'll sweat. Metal roof, heat loss, hot summer day, cools off when a cloud goes by, that roof will sweat. And what's a result of that is moisture, which is injuring your building. Don't want that. So put down a nice new underlayment, put down brand new metal panels, brand new screws, brand new ridge cap. Really completes the package for a brand new roof. The softening we put on was a punch metal product, flat sheets of it, but it's steel. You know, the aluminum soffit is generally the economical option, but we needed something stronger based on your past history of rodent issue, right? So we put on a more superior product, still breathes, still allows the proper ventilation system to happen, and then as well, still a good looking product, nice black. Off-grid is really a big challenge compared to conventional ways of a power line coming to your house, water, sewer that goes to the city and just out of your hair forever, right? A lot of times, if you do it properly, you could be a net zero house, right? So you're not really taking anything, but at the end of the day, you're still running a full house.
New roof is on, absolute 10 out of 10. Best roof in the neighborhood, guarantee it. But Mike and the crew are booked up for the next few days, so I'm tackling the construction of the utilities / water storage room. Let me run you through the game plan. Over here is going to be the utilities room. The structure is going to be 4 feet out, 8 feet long, 8 feet up. That's going to be just big enough for the water tanks. But before we can build anything, we have to get rid of this one. Slight bit of a miscalculation. This tolerance here is just too tight by that window. I could kind of cheat that far wall in just slightly, but the room is already so small. I'd hate to get to the end of the build or maybe a year or so down the road and want to add something in there and not have the room. So I think we're going to do the same dimensions, but on this side. As far as outside, I think it's going to work even better for filling the tanks. Well, here's our basic starting point, and I have this about as good as I can get it. With the amount of weight that's going to be sitting in these water tanks all the time, I'm going with a 2x10 floor, 12-inch center. I'll tell you, feels great to be running this generator again. If you're a long-time viewer, you'll recognize that little champion from the motorhome days. That was the first ever brand new piece of equipment I ever bought myself. the plan, basically, we're gonna build the floor here so I can get the bottom on it and then move it into place, insulate it and seal it. We're doing 12-inch centers just because this has to support so much weight, and we're using hangers again for the same reason. Well, this thing weighs a ton, but I think it'll be fine to just drag it. For insulation, I'm using a product called Roxol. As the name suggests, it's made out of some type of rock. It's got great R value, R22, and it is made specifically for situations where your insulation might be subject to the elements, for instance, a floor. It's like 4 times the price, unfortunately, but it is the right tool for the job. Well, that's level. It's less perfect than I thought, but in the grand scheme of things, not too bad. This next wall is a bit of an oddball one. Looking back, maybe I should have done the end walls shorter, and then this long one would be an exact 8 foot by 8 foot. Now I'm left with cutting down and doing 7 feet by 8 feet. Not really a big deal. Just an extra couple minutes.
I'm coming home to the great outdoors, where the coyotes howl right outside your door. This land is made for you and me, not just to live,
It's time to see if this tank is gonna fit it.
but to live free. I'm coming home.
Slight bit of a setback. I was taking a closer look at my water tanks. This is the one that was on top. Not sure what was in it, but it's completely solidified like epoxy, and it's solidified with the valve closed. So that tank is not usable, and the tanks have to be in before I can put the final wall on. So I had to scrounge around, and I was able to find another tank about 2 hours from Williams Lake, and it's actually far better than the previous one. And the 2 tanks are pretty much identical now. So we're back on track. Time to build our final wall. And I guess this is going to be the challenging one because it includes a door.
Rotate me back to my front door. I'm coming home to the great outdoors, where the coyotes howl right outside
For my first solo build project, I'm pretty darn proud of this little thing. Unfortunately, I had to just put the cameras away last night and get her done, because Mike is back today. We're gonna frame the frick out of some new windows. Got her. You didn't even break it.
Oh,
I know.
good job, man. Even when we were in kind of question of location, elevation, is this gonna work? I thought it was gonna work based on where you'd be in the inside looking out and the potential view. Yes, we had to do some framing on the inside, rearranging of the wall, but lucky enough you have it in such an open state that we're able to put in new studs, new cripples, new headers. These are all, fancy termination in the framing industry, but they all serve a very important purpose, because moving forward, you're not going to have any structural issues. Framing was good, the general building construction, great, but the balloon style design with that floor in the middle makes it difficult at times to achieve framing the next level up, just because you got to frame all the way through, not just off the next floor to bear. With the dual pane window and stuff like that, usually they're filled with some kind of argon gas or mystery gas, whatever, and the performance of windows nowadays, it is huge. Plus as well, with the vision of you're putting in a wood heater, it's gonna be a nice toasty sauna upstairs as it is. I think you'll be actually opening windows in the wintertime just to have some relief. So now we have 11 feet of window span looking down the Fraser River, which absolutely, wow.
Right? Total wow factor here. It's really cool. Like, especially from that standing, because you don't even see the soffit.
Yeah.
You get all the river.
Like you can see all the way up the valley.
Yeah.
The valley.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Nice. Yep.
On your scale of a project, I think a lot of people could do it. If you feel confident enough on it, start small. Maybe for a lot of people, that's just building a garden box. It's all scalable, right? Build a garden box, it can hold a bunch of dirt, it's got pressure on it, holds itself together after a year or two. You might have a success in going to the next level, and that gave you, for building your little room off the side of it for your water tank storage, success. That could have been way underbuilt, and a person could have just put it all together and could have had some actual major structural failures. And it sucks when you get to the end and you just start filling those tanks and stuff starts to happen. So you put all this time, all this effort into something that doesn't work.
I think it's gonna work, but it did take 4 days.
Which is okay at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Our goal is to complete the outside. We got new doors on, we got new siding going on, we got a new roof on there, new soffit. Really, we're trying to get the outside package, lock, stock, and barrel, and put to bed, so then you can just focus on the inside. I think it's gonna be aces. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a beautiful retreat spot for you to go to. I think it's gonna make all the characteristics of a home. It's not always in the size and scale that a lot of people are accustomed to with conventional housing. But I think for you and your lifestyle that you're living right now, there's gonna be no better place on earth.
The place is gonna be a mansion, dude.
It is. It is, compared to the small camper and all that kind of stuff, or the old moho.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna be huge.
Yeah.
What an unbelievable transformation we've seen here in the early stages of the build, and I cannot even begin to express my gratitude to Mike and Cost Corp for helping make all of that possible. Similar to the rig build, there are portions of this project that just aren't achievable by myself, especially with this tight time frame we're under. Winter is nipping at my behind right now, and the only way this place is getting to lock up before it settles in is with a little bit of help. So if you're in the area, you need some work done, and you need it done right, I'll have Mike's information linked in the description below. Big thanks to Danny as well. He was out here just giving her, and that doesn't go without recognition. Thanks, Danny. Now let's get into our cost breakdown of the week. We'll start with the foundation, that 6x6 beam, pressure treated, 16 feet long, a very reasonable $91.20. The windows and the door for the utilities room we factored into last week's cost breakdown, but the door and hardware for the house, $934.40. The roofing materials, Mike had the bulk of the material and supplies on hand and was gracious enough to donate that and the install to the build. So my overall roof material cost, $172.87. But judging off of what I paid for the cladding coming next week, I'm estimating the additional cost for roofing materials to be around $1,500. So we will factor that into our cost breakdown. As for supplies, I'm just going to bulk everything into one category. I don't want to break it down to individual cost for bag of insulation, etc. Though my cost for supplies right now is slightly higher than it should be because I don't have an inventory on consumables, nails, staples, screws, things like this, so I am buying it per project. So this week's supplies for the utilities room and the framing of the windows, $2,171.26. I did have to buy the water tank, so that's an additional $200, bringing our grand total to $5,069.73. Not too bad, actually. Another great big thank you to Mike and Cost Corp, and for me here at Lot 32. Thanks for watching, everybody.
In the morning, when I get up, wish that we could stop and take each day. In the evening, when I get home, always hope to find you all alone and out of harm's way. Every time I look around, I hope to find you looking back at me. You're everything I ever hoped to see. In the morning, when I get up, I wish that we could stop